And we return on Southeast Texas Weekly. W.L. Pate has done such a tremendous job. We have booted the other Republicans off the program today. We're going to keep W.L. here, but we do have Nathan Buddy Reynolds here to join us and talk from the Democratic viewpoint, and Don Brown, former Democratic congressional candidate. Good to see you gentlemen as well.
Great to be here.
Thanks for coming in. What do we think about, I'll put forth the idea to you that we were talking in the past segment about. What do you think about Rand Paul and his potential for success in the nominating process?
Rand Paul wants to cut a lot of foreign aid out, and I think he's going to really ruffle some feathers.
You think that will resonate?
In the Republican Party, because I think the Republicans want foreign aid that protects a lot of their overseas businesses and where they get a lot of their money. And he may be strangled out and not get the contributions that he needs to go forward with his campaign.
Won't be able to fundraise. What are your thoughts, Don Brown, on Rand Paul?
He proves that that libertarians have a place in both the Democratic and Republican parties. He shares his libertarian views that he has. Some of them sort of sway towards the Democratic side of libertarianism, while part of them hang out in the Republican side of libertarianism.
The party seemed to, 4 years ago, make this collective decision somehow to to nominate the most electable seemingly of the Republican candidates. Went with the middle of the road, or went with the Mitt Romney, as opposed to nominating the man from the far right. What is this presidential season expected to bring us? What will happen with regard to that?
I think right now the front runner would be Jeb Bush in the Republican Party. He's the most electable. He's the closer to the middle of the target, where you have Ted Cruz far right and Rand Paul far right up a little bit on the libertarian.
Obviously
views.
carries the family name, though. But how does in the polls? No, in the conservative polling, you hardly ever see anybody support an idea like Jeb Bush has already put forth, which is that it's ridiculous not to immediately open up the immigration policies that we have to ease restrictions.
Well, on the upside, when you have a large number of candidates, Ted Cruz, who you will hear far right Ted Cruz, which all I've ever heard, from Ted Cruz is, I believe we ought to follow the Constitution. What an innovative idea! Is anybody opposed, since we're paying taxes, to doing away with the IRS and just coming up with some simple tax form? And CPAs, you have to go to a CPA now, or a professional tax professional, a professional tax person, in order to get your taxes done, to make sure you don't overlook all the minute details that may be to your benefit. And if
simplifying the tax code is all well and good, but you can't. But you still taxation has to be fair. And right now, in one of the segments show we're talking about earlier, the fact is that undocumented workers pay more in taxes than ExxonMobil or General Electric.
Well, let me ask you.
So you tell me that.
Where do you get that?
Because General Electric.
You can attribute those numbers to what?
Because General Electric and ExxonMobil receive tax offsets, and with their write-offs, they pay less in taxes in both federal, state, and local taxes than undocumented workers do in this country.
Well, since we don't know where the undocumented, all of a sudden we can find undocumented labor workers when we want to say they pay taxes.
Oh, by the way, that actually is from a RAND report.
From a RAND report?
That actually is from a RAND report. So you want documentation.
Not Rand Paul.
I think that's an unfair comparison to say that these companies, you have to offset what they receive from the government when you have a huge population of people out there, which certainly they got government benefits also. And that report, I guarantee you, did not take that into account.
Well, one of the things we need to look at is what's fair. And our tax system needs to be revised. When somebody passes away, literally after a certain threshold, half the money goes to the federal government? Based on what? They
I
That,
feel
has,
like-
that, wait a second,
I
that
feel
hasn't
like
been
this
the case
entire-
in more than 15 years. They did away with the estate tax, and every
They've
time that it's
reduced
ever
it.
come to back, and every time, yeah, it's now presently set at, I believe, $10 million.
Yeah, but I feel
But
like
that's the
everything we've been
threshold.
talking about in this program today has essentially fallen on this matter of just what the common folk think of as fairness with
That's
the tax system, with immigration policy. What is the fair middle road to? And I think that's why so many Southeast Texans and so many Americans are displeased to the point, where we see the congressional polls as low as they are, the presidential polling. Everybody's, everybody in Washington is facing some severe negativity.
Well,
at
it's
this
usually,
point.
we don't like the group, but we like our guy.
Yeah.
I mean, every poll that you take, they like, obviously they like Randy Weber, he got elected. But do they like what Congress is doing as a whole? No. So when you ask somebody that, no, I'm not happy with what they're doing, but I'm happy with our guy, I voted for him. Whether it's him or Lloyd Doggett in Austin, whoever it is, those people in Austin think he's doing a great job for them.
Actually, what you just said, 13% of the population in this district voted for Randy Weber. 13%. So it was not the people of the district. It's that we have made the election so unpalatable by throwing rocks and making it Democrats versus Republican, and instead we need to come to a common solution and stop talking about parties, conservative or libertarian or whatever, and instead we need to say what is best for the American people and what is best for Southeast Texas.
Well,
and that's not happening because we're so busy trying to score points as for the Democrat or the Republican side, and we don't seem to be wanting to settle down to actually do the American people's business.
I think it's fair to say that when you have an election, whoever gets the most votes based on whoever showed up that day, that's how the elections work, whether 13% or 5% or 60%.
Hillary, what do you think of this matter of Hillary? Is
Speaking
it
of
fair to
5%.
use the word Hillary? We're just using one word. Is it sexist?
I thought she was like Cher. Just, you always know who they're talking
Is it
about.
sexist to say Hillary? We'll explore that idea when we continue on Southeast Texas Weekly.